It's been a long week. I don't know. Friday is my rest day, so I don't. Well, I set my alarm an hour later, and I don't get up and go for a walk because I need I need to give my body a break. But I think it definitely makes it harder for me to wake up. Okay. But before we get to that, what we are going to do is the housekeeping, and that's simply me reminding you we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website's creativelife.org. The constant contact email is info@creativelife.org. You get one email a week, tells you what's going on for the week and the month, unless something unusual happens, and then you'll get an additional email. We do live in hurricane country. Hang on. I'm sure there's more. But what? Oh, the hot links are hot. It's blind CC. Nobody will see your email. Nobody will get your email. Yeah. Brain is just not. We had this storm roll in last night. My brain kind of went, I don't know about this. And I don't think it's recovered yet. Okay, hang on. Hot links are, yeah. Okay, let's just skip onto the social media. Because I do this every time. So if you watch any of these videos, you already know all this information. This is just for the casual person who kind of clicks into the video and goes, hey, what's going on here? Watch me not know what I'm doing in the morning. Social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. We don't monetize the social medias because we don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do is go like, subscribe, share, follow, comment. As I said, Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on all the social medias that I am on. If you engage with our pages by doing those 5 things, then it bumps us in your algorithm so more people see our stuff. We think we have good tools to share. We hope you will help us. All right. Yeah. Let's just get on with this because I don't know what I'm doing this morning. So collection of essays from the take-home course. I say take-home course. Send off for course is just weird. And basically, they advertise this course in the back of the Science Hour magazine where you could send off, and every week they would send you a new lesson. So these are essays taken from those lessons. And I like them because they sound like you are having a conversation with Ernest. Like you went to Ernest and asked him a question, which is possibly what happened. You know, these may be responses to questions that students have asked. But I enjoy them. They're interesting. They're fun. There's a lot of, they cover a wide range of topics. And yeah, let's get on with it. It is possible that this is one I've never actually read because there are no pencil marks in it. But it's called The Story of Growth. So let's see what Ernest has to say. The Bible symbolizes the spiritual evolution of humanity beginning in the Old Testament. Oh, no, Reverend Norm would just right there. Reverend Norm, we were not allowed to call the Jewish Testament the Old Testament. He said it's disrespectful. So, Ernest. So let's try that sentence again where the specter of Reverend Norm is not standing over my shoulder. Okay. The Bible symbolizes the spiritual evolution of humanity beginning in the Jewish Testament and culminating in the life and teachings of Jesus, the Christ. As we examine the spiritual symbology of the Bible, we should realize that as it tells the story of a race of people, it also presents the story of every person's life, yours and mine. Let me remind you that the Bible is not a book. It is a library of books. Okay, that was another thing that I learned from Reverend Norm. The Bible starts with the fundamental premise that God, the universal creative spirit, is present everywhere and is within people themselves. This is the concept that added the great law of cause and effect. When the Bible presents the idea that humanity is created free, with the possibility of limitless expansion and let alone to discover themselves. During this process of self-discovery, humanity brings upon themselves, through the operation of the law of mind, the experiences they imagine hang on. Sentence is a little weird. Let me try this again. Okay. During this process of self-discovery, people bring upon themselves, through the operation of the law of mind, the experiences they image in their thought. We have, on one hand, the evolution of the individual life under the guidance of divine providence, which leads to harmony. In contrast, there is the freedom to live under the false guidance of a sense of being separated from good, which leads to disaster and chaos. But always, the Bible holds before us the great promise of the final redemption of people through the understanding of the law of their being and their relationship with the divine spirit. It shows us that there is always something at the innermost depths of our being which never completely loses a sense of its spiritual nature. Even in the midst of the confusion that followed the misuse of the law by the children of Israel, they produced the greatest line of spiritual prophets the world has ever known. These prophets were the ones who always remembered who they really were. The era of the prophets cannot be divorced from the kingdom of Israel, its development and rise to power, and its division and dispersal. Nor can the kingdom of Israel be separated from the kingdom which each one of us represents. We relate the development of the kingdom of Israel to the integration of a personality, or the coming into wholeness of any one being. When the children of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, they were an unorganized people. They lived in scattered tribes, warring with other desert tribes. Necessity for self-preservation caused them to band together into greater colonies, and this brought forth the need for organized leadership. Here we are introduced to one of the factors that made Israel a great nation. The first leaders of the children of Israel were spiritual rather than political or social leaders. The spiritual impulse was fundamental to the nature of their being. Judges were selected to rule over the people, not judges in the sense that we think of for our courts of law, but spiritual judges who represented the divine law, the will of God, or Jehovah. The spiritual law was, in fact, the civil law of the Hebrew people. As the nation began to take form, it passed from religious into civil leadership, and the kingdom of Israel was established. But we remember that it was a spiritual leader, the prophet Samuel, who raised Saul, the first king, to his throne. And Saul, under divine guidance, developed the kingdom of Israel to a power undreamed of. He organized his people so that they worked together effectively in commerce, agriculture, industry, and international relationships. When David ascended the throne, he was anointed by Samuel the prophet and undertook to continue the development of the kingdom under divine guidance. David brought a quality of love to his reign to complement the organizational ability and the intellect of Saul. And the kingdom of Israel rose to even greater heights. David's son succeeded him on the throne, and Solomon inherited by far the richest and most powerful kingdom of the world at the time. In the earliest part of his reign, Solomon became noted for his great wisdom and understanding. But later, to satisfy his increasing love of luxury and power, it was necessary for him to increase taxation and conscript more and more slave labor. His people began to grow restless under this oppression, and eventually a segment of them rebelled and seceded from the kingdom. The great nation was divided. Here is a story of a man who, when his thought was centered on God, erected the great temple, which so perfectly symbolized the meaning and life and the relationship between the individual and the universal. And then, when he lost the spiritual meaning of the temple he had built and became engrossed in the material force, both his wisdom and his power deserted him. Solomon began to worship two gods, the God of temporal power and the God of his ancestors, the one and only true God. This marked the beginning of the disintegration of a mighty kingdom. For hundreds of years following the fall of the kingdom of Israel, the Hebrew people were subjected to every indignity known to the human family. But as great as their plight was, never were they without a prophet of the Lord to keep hope alive, to keep before them the promise of a Messiah who would lead them out of their captivity. There was always an Isaiah to say, "Thou shalt beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor shall they learn war any more." Isaiah 2:4. And in his prophecy concerning the coming Christ, "And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the love of the Lord." Isaiah 11:21. There was always a Hosea to say, "Come and let us return to the Lord, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten and he will bind us up." Hosea 6:1. Was always a Micah to say, "But thou, Bethlehem, though thou be little among the thousands of Judea, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be the ruler of Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. And this man shall be the peace when the Aryan shall come into our land, and he shall tread in our when he shall tread in our palaces." Micah 5:2 and 5. All of the prophets who arose during this period of captivity prophesied the final emancipation of the children of Israel from their bondage through a return to the true knowledge of the kingdom of God and the final triumph of spiritual power. They all pointed to the fact that somewhere in human experience, some person would arise who would completely reveal the divine nature and the divine childship. Every person is a nation unto themselves, a nation inhabited by many thoughts, feelings, appetites, and talents. Every person is a nation of consciousness. All too often, like the children of Israel, we find it easy to build golden calves and reach with lustful hands to grasp the illusion of temporal power. It is easy for us to forget that there is a supreme ruler at the center of the nation of ourselves, whose sovereignty is fixed in love and enthroned in the childship of God. It is only as we turn our thoughts away from this spiritual sovereignty that our faculties and energies become dispersed. This makes us a weakened nation, subject to the invasion of every fear, doubt, disease, and temptation that presents itself at the borders of our experience. But, as with the children of Israel, there is always a prophet in our own minds that gives us hope, consolation, and promise in the knowledge that life can never destroy itself, and that truth crushed to earth shall rise again. This prophet is our own soul, which eternally proclaims the Messiah, even though we may be lost in a wilderness of our own false concepts. We should not forget that the very power which created this wilderness is the power that builds the highway for the remnant to return to the Holy Land. It is the personal application of these great historic symbols presented in the Jewish Testament in which we are particularly interested. For the ancient race of the children of Israel has long since departed, but the lesson is as new as the latest invention. Let us each be sure then that the voice of the prophet within does not go unheard or unheeded. Let us right now be still and listen as the child of God within us proclaims the glory of the kingdom. Let this kingdom be real to us in a very practical way. Let us know right now that we are established in the kingdom of health, happiness, and wholeness because we are established in the kingdom of God. At which point I'm going to point out to you that Jesus did proclaim that the kingdom of God was within us. The kingdom of God is within you. Direct quote. So what Ernest is reaching for there is a way in which we can use the entire Bible to point us back to what it is what we're supposed to be doing. Because it's Meister Eckhart that said, what good does it do for Jesus to have been born 2,000 years ago if he's not born again every day in me? So that's what I believe. That's what Ernest is going for here. He's like, look, and this is an analogy that Jesse uses that I really love. The Bible is the finger pointing to the moon. And too many people get too caught up in looking at the finger and forget to look at the moon. So that's what Ernest is saying. Hey, look, you know what? This is a kind of a history of a people. That's nice, but that's not where the value to us is. The value to us is, hey, let's look at these lessons. When they were focused on this, then they were doing good. And when they got a little too focused on this, meaning temporal power, the material world, they went a little wrong. And people kind of went, So that's the goal. It's like, yes, we live in the material world. We have work to do in the material world. We have to deal with the material world. But let's not get so fixated on the material world that we neglect the spiritual world. Because in truth, that's what we are. We are spiritual beings having a material experience. And when our material experience is over, we're going to go back to the spiritual being, right? So yes, the material world is necessary and we should absolutely pay attention to it, but it should not consume us. That we need to make sure that we are spending enough time in the spiritual, doing the spiritual work, doing our own spiritual work. And it's our work to do. Nobody can tell you how to do your spiritual work. That's not our power. Our spiritual work is between us and the divine. Okay. So that's why we don't have spiritual leaders. We might have spiritual teachers, but I hesitate to even call them that because they're not teachers, they're guides. We walk paths for a short period of time. We learn what we learn, but it's still our work to do. So, I don't know. I've never read that one before, so that was interesting. I hope you got something out of it too. All right, beloveds, I'm going to move into the process of my day. So now I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, a Friday. Sorry. A little enthusiasm there. I'm kind of glad the week's over. Because tomorrow I get to organize my notes. And then on Sunday, we're going to talk about Ruth. I'm kind of excited about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what kind of, I'm encouraging you to have a great day, a wondrous day, and a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a Friday, a cuddle your fur babies day, a drink plenty of water day, a take care of yourself day, a take a break day, a take a nap day, a be with your community day, a wrap this week up day, a you got this day, a good day, I don't know where I'm going with this day, a good day. And if that's too much pressure, and honestly, in the last couple of weeks, it's been too much pressure for me. So I've been simply having a day. You can simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark, spirit in motion, God in action. As Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. You are a beautiful masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time at your own pace. Explore the truth of your being, which was kind of the point of the essay today. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. It's all the divine knows. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds. As I said, we're moving into the process of my day. Reverend David should be on around 5 with you. Oh, I will not be on tomorrow. Probably. I get to get my mane tamed tomorrow. So I will see you probably on Sunday around 8:45. I can't do this from my car anymore, so I just take the day off. So we'll pick this up on Sunday, unless I'm just really inspired when I get home tomorrow to come do it. Because, you know, two great leaders. Otherwise, like I said, I'll see you on Sunday. All right, beloveds, take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time. And I see you, Connie. Thank you.